Hi, everybody. You know me, I'm Katie, and this is my son.
I'm Declan, I'm 16.
And we are a family living with ARFID. So, Declan, thank you for doing this interview. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from somebody who actually lives with ARFID every day. And we appreciate you taking the time to tell us about what it's like. So, how would you describe what ARFID is like to someone who didn't know what it was?
I would say it's just being picky on like steroids. It's a step above.
It's like another level.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
being picky.
Yeah.
So now I recognized that your eating habits were different from a young age. What age did you realize that you ate different from other people?
I would probably say around like 12 or 13. It was probably, I think, like when I hit middle school.
Yeah.
And I sat at a table with my friends and I saw them like eating stuff. I never really found that appetizing, and I just like kind of realized that I was a lot more like I don't know, restrictive, than a lot of my friends.
So like I used to pack you lunches for school. Do you remember when you would eat those lunches?
When I got home, I wouldn't eat them at school.
So are there certain places where you prefer to eat and not eat?
I mean, home is always a place I like eating. I mean, I like eating anywhere except probably school. I think it has something tied to like, I don't know, I'm like there. It causes stress sometimes. It's just like, I'm just not in the mood. Even though I know I'm hungry, I just don't have an appetite to eat there. So
he would.
School.
I would pack him a lunch, and he would come to the car just completely ravenous. You were so hungry, and you would open your lunchbox and you just eat on the way home. But like you never ate at school, and I think it's even that way. Sometimes today you'll open your lunchbox. And,
I eat on the car ride home.
Yeah. So for people with ARFID, we refer to their foods as safe foods. Those are the foods you like.
Yep.
And then a non-safe food would be something you don't like or a new food. So how do you feel if you're offered a new food or a food that's not a safe food?
It's like a lot mentally. It's it's like anxiety about how it will like feel like texture wise, and I try to imagine it. It's just a lot of stress about it.
Yeah.
And it like if I am going to try it, it takes a lot of working up and getting used to just the sight of it. Is like something that like is a part of it.
So you have like an emotional response to it.
Yeah.
Like I notice anxiety. When you were younger, I would notice like just straight up fear. Like would not want it there. If we did it too much, if we tried to expose you too much, like we could enter meltdown territory.
Yeah.
It was never a good thing. So like, what is it about a non-safe food that makes you want to avoid it?
Like it's like the unfamiliarity, like not knowing what it is, how it's gonna taste, what's it gonna like be like. That's what like just like the unknown part of it. Yeah.
Is it like the smells? Is it the texture,
smell has a
the
big
look?
thing to do with it. Even though I've been told that smells don't always dictate how it will taste, still is like a big thing for me. The sight of it. Mostly that. Those two.
Yeah, that's good. How do you feel about your restrictive food intake? Like, do you ever feel like sad about it or frustrated? Like, what's that like for you?
I mostly feel okay with it because I'm not really like judged by it.
Yeah.
But sometimes people will like, I don't know, describe food and how like everyone's familiar with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, steak or like sushi, how everyone is like universally like it.
Yeah.
So I mean maybe some people, but like, and then like I feel like I'm kind of missing out.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not gonna try it. I don't want to try it, but a little bit of me is like, oh, I'm missing out on that.
You kind of wonder what it would be like.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. But it's not enough to like make you actively want to change
No.
Because we have talked about like there are eating disorder treatments. There's therapy that you can go through. We watch Hannah with ARFID on TikTok, and she's always trying new foods. Like she actively wants to overcome it, but for you, you're okay living with it.
Yeah.
And then so I have known that you've had eating issues for a long time, and ARFID came up with the doctor a couple times when you were younger, but it was so new to the diagnostic manual that they were like, oh no, that's only if they eat all beige foods. If they won't if they won't touch a fruit or vegetable. So they never gave you the diagnosis until very recently. How do you feel about actually having the diagnosis and being able to tell people I have ARFID?
It helps a lot to know that it's not like just me being picky, that it's like something that I'm not able to control. Yeah. And it's like kind of like a nice thing for like people to know, so I'm not like just taken as picky. It's actually like something that I can't like control, and it's like I'm not being like immature or something.
Yeah, you feel more accepted by people.
Yeah,
that's good. So are there any textures or foods that you find particularly hard to eat?
I would say like mushy foods. It's just like it's just like icky.
Yeah. Like you actually get like a reaction.
Yeah, it's just like a shiver. It's cringe. It's not really a texture, but it's just like when something like has a different texture than how it looks.
Oh, like it's unexpected.
Yeah, it's like unexpected. That's the part I don't like. Even if it's like a texture I like, it's just it being different throws me off, and I don't want to eat it, and I don't like it.
And you've mentioned before, if a food is something like soup and has a variable texture, like it's liquid, it's kind of chunky.
You'll never know. Like I will never know what I'm about to feel. Yeah.
Like one bite to the next.
Exactly. It's like it differs. Yeah.
Understandable. So how does ARFID affect your day-to-day life or activities or planning things for yourself?
Planning stuff probably. I think me and my friends probably plan like event like hangouts around it, the food that we're gonna have around it. Sometimes I'll miss out. I'll leave early if like I don't know, dinner is gonna be something that I'm not familiar with. So it probably affects the social part most. Other than that, it causes anxiety. Well, but like on the day-to-day life, I usually just have my safe foods. Yeah. So I don't face anxiety with that, but mostly like the social part.
I know when you were younger and there were birthday parties and things, we would feed you beforehand. Yeah. Like kind of pre-feed so that, whatever you were faced with, you were fine. You could say no. When we travel, we plan almost every meal down to we will find where the restaurants are. We look at the menus. Yeah. We make sure there's something to eat at all of them. And I know one of our favorite things to do, we go to Disneyland as a family. When you were a lot younger, we would just pack foods in for the day. But as you got older, I remember one trip, do you remember this, where he just ate French fries?
I do remember that.
The whole trip.
It wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, if we were outside the park, we would go to McDonald's, or there was a Jim Boy's we could go to, but inside the park,
it was just French fries.
Just French fries for you.
I lived too, so
you did. You survived.
Awesome, yeah.
If a change is made to one of your safe foods, like unintentionally by the manufacturer, what is that like for you?
I can probably usually tell the difference. And it's just like, it's like that food like it like loses trust with me. Yes. It's like I don't like it will take some time for me to like get back being okay with that. Yeah. So it just like it throws me off, and I don't want to have it anymore until like it's back to how I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
This has happened to us with something as simple as a brand of butter that I've bought and did not mention to you that I changed butter brands, and you will call me out for it.
Call you out for
he notices right away. When you were really little, there was a famous cookbook that everybody might remember called Deceptively Delicious, and it was about pureeing vegetables and sneaking them into kids' foods, and that did not ever work for you. You knew right away every single time, and I think I learned very early on that sneaking things in created like a breach of trust between us. And if I tried to get you to eat a food that maybe was a safe food, he would look at me.
I'd be hesitant.
Yeah. And so I learned very early on, we're just honest about what it is. And it is what it is, and we don't try to sneak stuff in. So do you ever get sick of a safe food?
Yes, I've probably been sick of it. Certain foods, like if I have it a lot, and then it just limits my foods down more. But I mean, after a while, I'll crave it again, and then I'll get back to eating it. But I do get sick of them sometimes.
Yeah, one example is our family's been very accepting of Declan's ARFID, even when it didn't have a name. And so for any holiday or party, food was planned for everybody else, and we would just bring hot dogs.
Yeah,
For you,
hot
because it's
dogs.
an easy thing to like pop in the microwave or whatever. Will you eat hot dogs now?
No.
You got sick of those.
Yeah, I got sick of those.
How many safe foods would you say that you have? Just guess. You don't have to count them out, but
15 to 20. No, not maybe not even 20. Probably.
Yeah, no, I would say 10 to 15.
Yeah.
10 to 15 safe foods. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so for instance, one of your favorite safe foods is nachos. And by nachos, I mean tortilla chips with melted cheese and nothing else on them.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to build up to trying nachos? You love cheese.
Uh-huh.
He likes one brand, one type of cheese. And he liked tortilla chips. How many years do you think it took for us to convince you that those two together were as a good food?
Probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was like, I mean, I liked cheese and chips since like, I don't know, 3 or 4, but I didn't have them until like maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was it because the look of the cheese melted on it?
Yeah, because it didn't look like the shredded cheese I knew. So it was just like, it looked different and I didn't want to try it, but then I think eventually I realized it was like the same.
Sometimes like two foods that he likes equally, like putting them together, combining them is too much. Mm-hmm. Like, because to this day he likes macaroni, he likes cheese. Have you eaten macaroni and cheese?
I maybe had like one bite and I didn't.
You did not like it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and it's not anything he's willing to try again. So okay, and then so kind of the last question. If you had advice to give to other parents of kids who may have ARFID, what would you tell them on behalf of the kids?
I'd tell them to be very understanding about it, and I'd tell them to not force trying new things. Definitely don't force it, because that will maybe even make it worse than it is. Don't force foods on them, and just like let them expand on their own. Mm-hmm. And I would say if you are going to like encourage them to try new foods, make it foods that like are similar to ones they've already tried. Don't introduce something out of the blue. Right. Just like something close to the foods they like. So like baby steps. Exactly. So they're familiar with what they're having, just like a little bit has changed. But mostly just like be okay with it and be understanding. Okay.
And then if from the standpoint of somebody who does not have ARFID, the idea of us trying something, we might, think that afternoon, oh, I'm going out to dinner, maybe I'll try this. I've seen that before. Yeah. How long does it take you to mentally build up to trying something, if you can at all?
I've had months, sometimes years, sometimes it takes a lot, of seeing it, smelling it, like seeing other people try it. It takes a lot. And then even after that, it's just a lot of mental, okay, right. Yeah. It's just, it takes it's not like a simple thing of minutes or hours or days. Right. It's a process.
So where a typical kid, they might say to expose them to something, they might say, oh, it could take 5-10 times before this food is normal to them. It could take hundreds and hundreds of times exposing you to it. Yeah. And maybe even then not even trying something that you want then. Yeah. So thank you so much for telling us about what it's like to have ARFID. Yeah. It's definitely a different experience than picky eating. Yeah. And I'm glad that it has more understanding now, and that you're benefiting from that. So again, thank you.
Thank you.